Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me again today. As you can see, we're not in the craft room today because I'm going to show you how to make some very simple scones. It's always fun to do a bit of cooking. For this you'll probably need the help of mum or dad or maybe an older brother or sister, but they're very simple. Let me show you how to make them. So you need a cup. This is my cup, your cup will be different, but we need 2 cups of flour, self-raising flour. So that's 1, you can see I'm not overfilling it. 1, 2 cups of flour. And to our flour, I'm going to add half pound of butter. So 1/4 of a pound of butter. I don't know what it is in metric, but it's half your block of butter. So I'm cutting it up into little pieces, and you put it into the flour and you just very lightly with your fingers rub the butter into the flour. Now I've had that butter at room temperature, so it's not freezing cold, because if it's cold it's much harder for children to work with. So it's better if you keep the butter, or the margarine, you can use margarine, at room temperature, and that way it's easy for them to rub it in. As you're rubbing the butter in, kind of lift the flour so that you're getting some air into it. And that's what makes a nice light scone, makes them nice to eat. So I'm lifting it here, and as you can see it's not taking too long to get the butter to combine with the flour. It's just 2 or 3 minutes rubbing it between your fingers and lifting it up to let the air get into the flour. Now I think the trick to making a nice light scone is to handle the dough as little as possible. So you'll see there's very, very little handling of the dough. This is the only time your hands really do a lot of the work with the flour. So there you go. And that's what it looks like. Now into this we're going to put 1 egg. I'm going to break the egg into the jug here. So 1 egg and a 1/2 cup of, I'm using buttermilk, but you can use any kind of milk you like. So 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Now at this stage you need to decide, do you want your scones to be plain or do you like to have some fruit in them? I always like to have a bit of fruit in them, so I'm going to just tip a little bit of raisins into mine, just a small handful usually, and mix the fruit into the flour like that. If you don't like raisins, just go for plain ones, or you might prefer sultanas or whatever fruit, mixed fruit. Okay, so the buttermilk and the egg are in my jug, and then you just beat them together like that. And then children, what you do is you make a little well in the middle of the dough like that, and you pour most of the liquid in, holding back just a little bit. And then you take your knife, because remember I said don't be using your hands, and you just mix the liquid into the dry ingredients. Keep mixing until it all comes together. Now if you find it's a bit dry, you might need a bit more liquid. I'm going to put another little bit of, even though no, this is coming together nicely. Just a tad more liquid. And see, I've only a little tiny bit left in the jug. So mix it all in. So the whole thing only takes a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Now I have my oven on heating, and I put it on really high. I put it on at 220, because if you put your scones into a really hot oven, it helps them to rise. Okay, what we do now is take a little bit of flour and put it on our surface, and then we literally dump the dough out like that. And again, as I'm saying to you, handle the dough as little as possible. So I'm not kneading it, I'm just pushing it down like this with my hand. And then you take a pastry cutter. So I've got a nice tidy size one here, and usually you get about maybe 7 scones, and I'm putting them on the little sheet pan there. So they're nice and thick going into the oven. And it doesn't matter if the dough seems a little bit dampish to you. That doesn't matter at all. That just means they'll be light. Okay, so I have 5 cut out of that. And then if you need to form your dough together again, try and handle it as little as possible. Just push it together. Flatten it down and you'll get 2 more out of this. Okay, now I want to put the next scones on the same sheet pan, so I'm going to arrange them that I will fit them all on this one. Okay, and usually I put these little bits on as they are, but I'll pop them back in the bowl for now. Okay, so now in this bowl I have the same 2 cups of flour. Just tidy up a little bit here. So there's 2 cups of flour. Just going to wipe my hands. And the very same amount of butter again, or margarine. Have it nice and soft and break it into little pieces so that it's easy for the child, if mum is helping, to rub it in. And we do exactly the same thing. So 2 cups of flour to about 1/4 pound of butter. Lift it up so that you let the air get into it. And what's going to make these ones different is I'm going to make them savoury. And what I'm going to add to them is some grated cheese and some onion that I very, very finely chopped. So get your mum or somebody to help you with that part of it. Very finely chop an onion, cook it in some butter in the pan and let it go cold. So now this is ready. And it's nice and airy. So we need to put in our other ingredients. So here you can see this was half a very small onion that I cooked in a little bit of butter. So put that in. And then I grated some cheese. Now the cheese you use is up to you, whatever you have in the fridge. Here I have some Parmesan and Pecorino that I grated. So there's about 2 tablespoons of cheese, and that was about a tablespoon of chopped up onion. So again, we're going to break the egg and add 1/2 cup of your liquid milk, or this is buttermilk. Beat it up a little bit. Again, now you can mix in the onion like that, just so that it's evenly distributed. And also I like to put in just a little grinding of salt and a little grinding of pepper. Mix that in. and then make the well in the middle and pour most of your liquid in, holding back a little bit, and using your knife, combined it all together. And these are absolutely delicious. And they don't take long to cook in the oven. They take about 15 minutes to cook in the oven. And I think the fact that I'm not putting my hands in there to mix the dough, it keeps it nice and light. So you can see it's starting to come together. Children love doing this. My grandson loves to make these. And you'll know that it's all come together when you see very little left on the bowl. It all comes into one clump in the middle. Like that. So we're going to put the little dusting of flour out again. And dump the mixture onto the flour. And again, don't handle your dough, just flatten it out. The little cracks don't matter. Flatten it out. So it's about maybe 2 centimeters thick. I better take the raisins off the cookie cutter here. And then simply cut out your savory scones. And as I have the oven on, all mine are going in together. And with the little bit of liquid that's left in the jug, you just coat the top of the scone. Get one more out of this. Okay. And all I do really is I put my fingers in, because your hands will be nice and clean. Do the sweet ones first. Dab it with the liquid. That's just giving them a little bit of a glaze. And then simply put them into the middle of your oven, which has been heated to 120 degrees. And now, as I put them into the oven, make sure you leave a little bit of space in between them so that they have room to rise. Into the middle of the oven here. Turn the oven down to 180 and time it for 15 minutes. So we're going to finish this video here and now, and the next video will be when they've come out of the oven and what we do with them. See you in a little while. Bye for now.